You're watching StratNews Global, and we're joined from Juba in South Sudan by Assistant Superintendent Doreen Mazuba Malambo. She's the recipient of 2020 Policewoman of the Year. First of all, congratulations, Assistant Superintendent, both for the award and for your promotion.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, viewers.
I saw the award ceremony, which is, of course, was a video conference because of the pandemic, and we had the Undersecretary General Jean-Pierre Lacroix also announcing your award. This must be making you extremely proud of the decision that you took to get into uniform and help around the world in a blue beret.
For sure, definitely. You know, it is a rare opportunity to have such a privilege. I thank the UN management, top management, and also my ANPO colleagues for supporting me, including the civilian UN staff. They've been with me, they've guided me in so many ways from the time I started the UN journey. I started my UN journey, if I'm to share this brief information, in 2008. My first deployment was in Liberia, where I was deployed as an IPO. And while there, I was appointed team leader for Women Child Protection Section. And through my works, I was again reappointed to be the ANPO gender advisor to the police commissioner. And I'm so happy that I served under the police commissioner from India, Gautam Sawang. I hope you will be able to see this. This is part of his achievements because he nurtured me so well professionally. I was happy to work with him. He guided me in so many ways. He gave me courage. I was so happy, and thank you so much, Mr. Gautam. And coming to the my works within Liberia, I worked also with the Indian FPU, female officers who were deployed at that time. We could go in the field, sensitizing the community together. We could even do some like engage girls in their physical exercise just to try and help them to remove the trauma which they had gone through during the time of the conflict, and even conflict, the marks of the trauma still remains because the situation is not as stable as they say. So
but tell us, what are the lessons that you brought from Liberia? Because I've seen you talking about them before in South Sudan itself, in working with women to convince, say, their menfolk who are fighting to fight for peace instead.
Yeah, what I would say that when I ended my mission in Liberia, that was in 2010, because I was there for almost 2 years. In 2010, when I ended, I went home, just stayed for some time trying to develop myself professionally and academically. And later on, I received a letter of deployment to South Sudan. That was in 2016 as the joint integrated police trainer. And we trained both the women and males to have one stable police for the South Sudan National Police. And within the course of my duties, the ANPO management decided to revamp the women network for the ANPO officers. And having a know-how, I mobilized my fellow female officers, and we had to relaunch the women's network. And I was voted for as the Anpo Women Network chairperson. So within this post, that's how I saw it imperative to engage the South Sudan women. And that's how we engaged the South Sudanese women also to establish their own network.
You're talking about how you brought your experiences from Liberia, but you have a love affair with South Sudan as well. You served there twice. You went home in between the two tenures just for 3 months or so. Tell us something that sticks in your mind on how you changed somebody's life.
You know, what I would say is that there are so many issues which I can touch, especially in South Sudan. And I feel I'm like a part of the South Sudanese themselves because I'm trying by all means to learn their language so that we interact very well with them. Um, the first time I was brought in South Sudan, I came as a joint integrated police trainer. And within the course, there was a crisis in 2016. And when the crisis occurred in 2016, you know, at first I was confused as any other person would be. And then I was like, okay, these people were entering the UN camp looking for help from us. If they see us to be more worried and to be more confused, then it will be doubled to them on their part. So I organized myself, you know, as a police officer, you are trained. Even when situations are not good, sometimes you just train to, you just try to be brave and be courageous. So I started by approaching the women, trying to assure them that this crisis will not continue forever, and we have just to be together and help each other. So through consoling them, I started sharing stories about Liberia, how it was, and then how the women managed to convince their husbands to stop the issues of fighting. And then some of them, they took it and started calling their husbands who were busy fighting in the bush to surrender and stop the issue of fight because it was affecting them and their children. So we could see other male soldiers running into the camp also, surrendering their arms and joining their families. And then some of them, they could even introduce their husbands to me, you know, and then we would chat and talk about it. And then you could hear the responses that really they are getting the message to say the war is not something they can cherish for, and they have to keep their country at peace because they have no any other country other than South Sudan. So those are some. That is one of the most interesting aspect which I like in South Sudan.
And I believe you also have a nickname. There's a story about the secret pocket, right?
Yes, you know, from my works, I used to sensitize the police officers to start with because we can't start by going into the community if the community they are seeing some kind of negativity with the officers themselves. So the mindset has to start with the change of mindset has to start with the police officers themselves, as they say, charity begins at home. So when I was I remember one workshop which I was sensitizing the male officers, and I was talking about the issues of gender-based violence. And one of the part which I touched, it was on economic abuse. So when I was talking about the economic abuse, the male officers were interested and eager to get more information and to see how bad it was to their population. So I tried to whisper to one of them to tell me the local name of the secret pocket. I've learned at this age, I've learned that means they have secret pocket, and they don't want to release whatever they have in that secret pocket. So they told me it is known as the Gipsiri. So just to catch their mind, I mentioned that, and they were like amazed to hear that coming from a foreigner. And then I explained the reason as to why the Gipsiri is not something which they should cherish and just keep that money secretly. They have to share with their families. And, it was so interesting that they learned something, and they named me Gipsiri. Wherever I go to the police divisions, they call me that name. So it shows that there was an impact, and the message was gotten by the male officers. And some of the families of these male officers, they have been introduced to me, and we interact and we chat the way forward on how we can prevent issues to do with gender-based violence. So that
And
is
one of
one.
the reasons why you have been able to actually connect with the local community is because of your own experience in your life, right? It was also badly touched by domestic violence, and you are one able to understand, and two able to communicate with the local civilian communities.
For sure, because even back home, my career is that I've worked for the Zambia Police. I worked for Zambia Police Victim Support Unit for almost 14 years. And then this prior to my deployment in South Sudan, I was the Deputy National Coordinator for Gender Office. So it's like throughout my career, I've vowed to align myself or align my work uh, process into the issues of helping the vulnerable people. And it is like the way other people call it, it is like part of my DNA right now.
And it's part
I
of your
don't feel
DNA because of your personal experience with domestic violence, right?
I don't feel good to see any other person being victimized or being abused. I
Mm.
passed through that during my marital life, and it is something which I don't approve for anyone to undergo. It is so painful. It reduces your self-esteem. It makes you feel as if you are less human and you can't even think properly. So from the time I made up my mind to move on with my life as a human being, I think I'm enjoying my life. And that is what I'm trying to also um, impart to other women, that they should know their rights. It's not that I'm advocating for them to divorce the way I did. No, divorce is bad. But they have to know that as a human being, you have your rights, and no one should trample on your rights, because these are basic rights which we are given. And no one, even the males or the females who abuse others, if they are to be abused themselves, I don't think they would like it.
Mm.
They will see the in that. So those are some of the things which makes me or gives me passion to continue advocating or talking about the issues of gender-based violence. If I had powers within me to just end GBV worldwide, I would do that. Thank you.
Right. I mean, in South Sudan, we've reported there, and gender violence, sexual exploitation has been used as a weapon of war. What's more important is that uniformed personnel, and especially women like you, are able to reach out to the local communities. You talked about your experience with the Indian female policewomen in Liberia, and we've had rotating policy there. The UN itself is looking at, it's important in this year because Resolution 1325 is 20 years for women security around the world. It's 60 years since the first UNPOL mission in the Congo, I think. What is your message to little girls around the world who can see your interview in terms of inspiring them to also take up the uniform and maybe ultimately wear a blue beret?
It is really interesting because, you know, as a female officer, I would encourage the little girls or the upcoming police officers that this career, it is a noble career, and it can even help you to advance professionally in so many ways, many ways, because we are not just restricted as people. You know, sometimes they hear people when they are in uniform, they will be carrying a gun everywhere, and they will be, you know, involved in issues of fighting. That is not the case. We have several departments within the police circles. We have engineers, we have doctors, we have social workers like me. We have a lot. We have a lot in stock. So I can just invite them to be part of policing. And policing, it doesn't mean that it is for those only who are in uniform like me. Policing, it is for everyone. Every human being should have they should be police in their own mind, because it's the only way we can be safe, and it is the only way we can keep peace among ourselves. So I would encourage them to dedicate themselves and focus on their dreams, and never to be intimidated by anyone. Just follow what they are supposed to do, improve themselves academically, and if they are interested to join police, get information, get closer to the police officers, and police officers, they feel good when they are contacted by the members of the public wanting to know more about policing, because that's what we call community policing. You have to deal with the community and interact with them so that you can easily address the crimes which are happening within the community. That is my word for them.
Assistant Superintendent Doreen Malambo, I don't want to use your local nickname, but thank you so much for your time, and may you go from strength to strength.
Mine, thank you.
You've been watching StratNews Global. I'm Amitabh Revi.